We do have one presentation today, and these items, they do not require an action by the board, but are informative for the board and for the public. These items are an opportunity for the public to hear what each department within Mesa County is responsible for and what they are working on. This week for our department overview, we do have Criminal Justice Services Department, Matt Lewis here to present. Come on up, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you said, Matt Lewis, Justice Services Director, and I'll be presenting on Criminal Justice Services Division as soon as I get this found and pulled back up. So just to give a quick overview of some of the things that we do, we're maybe one of the lesser known departments within the county. And we really break into three areas. One is our community-based services, one is our community corrections program, and the third being Summit View treatment. And so I want to talk to you about each one of those, what they do, and then answer any questions you may have. The first is community-based services. Our community-based services, some of the offenders are sentenced into there by the courts. Some are supervised on a pretrial status, meaning they haven't been convicted of anything. And then some are referred for services from other criminal justice agencies, and we help monitor or connect with services. And so if you look on the right-hand side, there's a list of programs that are run through our community-based services, and I'll quickly tell you what each one of those is. Our pretrial program. Every single day, without fail, everyone who's arrested into the jail meets with one of our pretrial staff, and they do a pretrial report to the court that has to be to the court prior to that person going to arraignment. And that report has recommendations for bond conditions, criminal history, and then any community stability information that assists the DA, the public defender, and the judge in setting an appropriate bond for that person. Those guys are up pretty early in the morning and over at the jail, pulling people out of the cells to make sure that we have that good information. They also supervise anyone who is released on bond that is ordered on pretrial supervision. So they meet with those people routinely and ensure that they are making their court appearances and abiding by their bond conditions. The next is pretrial diversion. We're actually the subcontractor for the DA's office for this program. And this is a program by which a defendant could engage with the DA's office in a contract to avoid the court process if they complete certain stipulations as outlined in that contract. Again, it's managed through us on behalf of our 21st Judicial District Attorney's Office. But that can be treatment, that could be useful public service, that could be fees, classes, any number of things that they need to complete. And if they do complete, they can avoid the court process altogether for some of those offenses. The next is deferred judgment. And deferred judgment, a person would enter a plea of guilty in court, and the judge would then order a deferred judgment where any punishment from that is deferred until they complete the stipulations again that might be ordered by the court. Those could include classes, treatment, useful public service, fines, restitution, any of those, and we manage that program on behalf of our judges. Electronic monitoring is one that many people might be familiar with. We have several different versions of electronic monitoring. The most probably noticed is those who have our ankle monitors on. That are tracking their whereabouts using GPS technology. We have two different versions of that. One where we can create a zone where people may not go. And so we would get alerts if a person were to go into a location they're prohibited from. This could be a location of a victim or a location that they have been, the court has not allowed them to go to. The other one, the opposite one, would be an inclusion zone, something like home detention, where a person has to remain within a zone and can't leave that zone without permission from either a case manager or courts. And then the last is actually alcohol monitoring using this equipment. We have monitors that we can put on people that monitor through their skin whether or not they've consumed any alcohol. For those who alcohol is prohibited, and will send us an alert and we can report that back to the courts. The last is useful public service. We run useful public service for the county. We currently connect anyone who has ordered useful public service with an appropriate site for them based on charges. And we have over 200 sites here in Mesa County that we work with. Those are nonprofits, those are for-profits, those are people in the community that rely on this for some level of additional help. Last year, we had over 30,000 hours completed in useful public service, which when you add that up, it equates to over $1 million in labor that was offset for Mesa County businesses by those ordered UPS. And on average, in all of these programs on any given day, we supervise about 2,000 people in our community, and we do that using about 10 staff. So the next program is our Community Corrections Program. This is an alternative sentencing option that allows people to stay here in the community rather than go to Department of Corrections. This is for people that are convicted of a felony offense, and they come and they stay in our program. We supervise both a residential and non-residential program. Generally speaking, everyone enters into the residential program and they stay there for a period of 8 to 12 months as they gain more privileges, gain more stability, and work themselves to the ability to move into our non-residential program. Our residential program is roughly about 170 individuals that live in our building. Our non-residential program, we supervise about 50 more individuals who are living in the community at any given time. Each client is assigned a case manager, and I'll show you some of the services that are offered to them specifically. And we are a 24/7 facility where these individuals do indeed live with us full time. Our non-residential program, as I talked about, people graduate into our non-residential, and some of them live back with family members. Some of them live in their own places. Some of them live in what we call our independent living apartments. We have several apartments that we rent and then sublease to our clients as a transitional housing. And this could be for people who maybe are working on budgeting and don't have money saved up for a down payment yet. And so we're working with them at that reduced rate until they can be able to stand on their own feet. This could be for people who are on housing waiting lists and have not yet been able to secure their housing. And so we provide that half step or half measure. And then our independent living apartments, they are visited by our CJSD staff at least 3 times a day to ensure that everything that's going on there is something that would be program approved. Some of the assistance that we provide our clients, I've just put a list up here. I won't read it to you, but each client that we receive in receives an assessment and is assessed individually. And these plans are specific to that human being. This is not a cookie cutter approach. This is really us trying to meet that person where they are and address whatever needs that that individual has. And so these are many of the different programs that are available to each and every one of our clients. And I'd like to highlight specifically one area on here, which is employment services. We know at Community Corrections that employment is a large part of a person being independent and a productive member of our community. And so we work very hard to connect people with employment within our community. That creates an atmosphere where, generally speaking, they're going to meet other pro-social people. They're going to engage in pro-social activities and socialization with those people that they work with. And so we put an incredible amount of time, effort, and energy in this area and have been wildly successful in working with employers here in the Grand Valley to hire our clients. In fact, we award every year, we award an Employer of the Year based on feedback from our Community Corrections Board, and it's a great opportunity to honor some of those employers. The last I'll talk about is Some of You Treatment Services. Some of You Treatment Services is probably well known, but I highlight on here that every Mesa County resident has access to Some of You treatment regardless of their ability to pay. And that is based on a decision made by the Board of County Commissioners to support that and fund that. Should there not be other funding mechanisms available for those people. And so we appreciate that support, and I know our community does as well. We currently have about 20 beds and are expanding to 32 beds in Some of You Treatment Services. And we provide treatment to individuals who have severe substance use disorder, and in some cases have other mental health disorders and or other physical limitations at the same time. We are lucky to have some of you. We're one of the few places on the Western Slope that have any of the programs that we offer in some of you. And quite frankly, across the state, we've seen many of these programs close because they don't have the support from their local government that we're blessed to have here. So some of the programs that we run out of some of you, and probably the most well-known, I will refer to it unintentionally as IRT, but it is intensive residential treatment. And it's just a habit to use the IRT acronym, but IRT is a 90-day intensive inpatient program for people who come in and assess at that level. And again, all of this is assessment-based, but assess at that level. And these men and women who are in IRT attend 40 to 45 hours of treatment per week. So this is a full-time, very immersive. We need to get these people back on track and address the substance use disorder before we can do anything else. And generally speaking, they would then progress to a less, more treatment, but it could go to an IOP or an outpatient model after that. One of the other ones we have is residential dual diagnosis. And again, this is specifically targeted at people who have substance use disorder along with chronic mental illness. This is a unique thing to us that we're proud to offer and has been extremely beneficial in today's public safety climate. We often see offenders who have both substance use and chronic mental illness. This is not anything new, I'm telling you, but we have also treatment options for those men and women who come into our program. That usually is about a 120-day program, but it is not as intensive. And they are non-residential, so they can do other things at the same time. We talked about our independent living. We often use our independent living apartments for some of you treatment because especially with our intensive residential treatment, we've unplugged a human being from their life for a period of 90 days. And often they lose housing and have to have some time to transition back. And so we make sure that we support those through our independent living apartments that I talked about earlier. And then the last is outpatient and behavioral health options. Our clients' needs assess all over the map. And we are blessed to have all kinds of local providers. We recognize at CJSD that we don't have to do everything. We have a lot of resources here in our community that we're connected with and that we work with every single day. So if a person assesses at a level that maybe it's not one of our intensive or one of our residential programs, we first try and refer that person to a community resource so that they can interact, again, pro-socially out in our community while they're receiving the treatment that they need to progress. So with that, that is an overview. I was told to keep it short, and it looks like a full agenda today, but that is an overview of the 3 programs we run at Criminal Justice Services Department. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. Commissioners, do you have any comments, questions?
Just a comment, Matt, thanks for all you do. I mean, I guess boil it down, you're keeping people out of prison and people who are nonviolent, who need to be in the community working. So well done. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree. I love the alternative sentencing options that you provide, especially looking at the specific circumstances of each individual. As Cody said, keeping them out of prison. Our community is still safe, but they're able to provide for their families and hopefully learn new coping skills that will make them active citizens in our community after their release. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.